This is a lesson for 10-3. All right, what you're doing today is placing numbers on a number line. The thing about these is you need to change all of the numbers into decimals first. Every number line is different, so you have to pay attention to what you're exactly doing on the number line and what you're counting by. This first number line you can see is counting by ones, but the second number line is counting by 0.1s. This one's counting by 0.2s. So you have to be very, very careful and really pay attention to what you're really counting by. Notice that negative numbers go backwards on the number line. So the more negative a number is, the farther it is over to the left. So you really got to be careful. So when we take a look at 2.5, 2.8, 2.95, and 2.82, my thoughts on this is make them look like money. All right. Most people can figure out where money goes. Money has two decimal places. So for example, 2.5 is really like $2.50 because we can always add a zero onto the end. 2.8 is really like $2.80. And then you have $2.95, $2.82. I would make these look like money as well. So we have $2.20, $2.40, $2.60, $2.80. And then we have $2 and $3. So $2.50. $2.50 is exactly halfway in between 2.4 and 2.6. So 2.5 is right here. 2.8. 2.8, there's a letter already, a little hash mark at 2.8. So we're just going to put a dot right here. And this is 2.8. 2.95. Now 2.9 would be right here. This is where 2.9 would be. So 2.95, $2.95 is halfway in between $2.90 and $3. So 2.95 would be right there, halfway in between $2.90 and $3. $2.82. So here's $2.80, here's $2.90. In the middle of that would be $2.85. So it would be to the left of the $2.85. This is where 2.82 would go. When you go to take your quiz, I'm going to be very, very picky on where those are. All right, very, very picky. Take a look at the next one. Sometimes you're going to have repeating decimals. All right, sometimes you're going to have repeating decimals. Be very careful. 5.7 repeating is not 5.7 because 5.7 repeating is 5.77 because that 7 keeps on going on and on. So my strategy of making it look like money, it's going to appear as $5.77. 5.15 repeating is just going to be 5.15. 5.1 is really 5.10, $5.10. And then we have 5.75. So when you go to graph it, 5.77, 5.75, notice that our number line is counting by 0.1s. So 5.75 would be right here in the middle. Notice that that is one of my numbers, so I'm actually going to do that one first. 577 has to be in between 575 and 580, a little bit closer to the 75 than the 80. So it's going to be right here, and that is 5.7 repeating. $5.15. That is exactly halfway in between 510 and 520. And then 510, there's already a little hash mark right there for 510 or 5.1. So again, I am going to be very, very picky on your quiz about where you put your numbers. Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. Go ahead and try this one, please. So we have 6.1. 6.1 is really like $6.10. 531 is really like $5.31. 6.65, $6.65. And then we have $5.20. So 6.1. Now, notice that our number line is counting by 0.4s this time. So 6 would be right exactly in the middle. That's where 6 would be. Well, 6.1 is exactly in between 6 and 6.2. So 6.1 is right there on that gap. That's where 6.1 would be. $5.31. So right halfway in between 5 and 5.4, this is where 5.2 would be, exactly halfway in between. Well, 5.3 is exactly in between 5.2 and 5.4. So right at that gap would be 5.3. 5.31, $5.31 would be just to the right of that little. 665. Well, 665 would be in between $6.60 and $7. 6.8 or $6.80 is exactly halfway in between there. 6.7 would be right here. So 6.65 is right on that first little dash. 5.2, we already put a little hash mark right here at 5.2. This is where 5.2 would be, halfway in between 5 and 5.4. So some of the questions that you'll have today are already in decimal form. Other ones, you have to make them into decimal form first. So the square root of 3. Remember, you hit second, x squared, and then your number, because the x squared button is really your square root button. Second, x squared 3. Again, I'm going to make these look like money. That's approximately $1.73. 1 1/2. The big number goes in front of the decimal point. Then you have to do 1 divided by 2, top divided by bottom for your fraction. That is 0.5. Whatever's after the decimal point, we put after the decimal point. So that's really 1.5. Again, I'm going to make it look like money because that's a good strategy, I feel. So that's going to be $1.50. 160%. You can type those right into the calculator, or you can move the decimal point over 2 places to the left, and that becomes 1.60. 9/5, top divided by bottom. This would be 9 divided by 5. 9 divided by 5 is 1.8. Again, I'm going to make it look like money, so $1.80. The cube root of 4. Remember, you have to type in 3, second button, caret button, and then 4. 3, second button, caret button, 4. You get approximately, again, I'm just going to make it look like money. You get approximately 1.58. So now we're ready to graph them. They're each counting by 0.2 on our number line. So 1.73. 1.7 is halfway in between 1.6 and 1.8. So that's where 1.7 would be. 1.73 is just to be right of that one. 1.75 would be right in the middle of them, so it's right there. And again, when you label it, we're going to label it with the original number. 1.5. 1.5 is exactly halfway in between 1.4 and 1.6. 1.6, there's already a little hash mark there. So this is where 160% goes. 1.8, there's already a little hash mark there. So that's where 9/5 goes. And 1.58. Now 1.5 is right here in the middle, we said. This is where 1.5 is. 1.55 or $1.55 would be halfway in between 150 and 160. So that's where 1.55 is. So it's going to be just to the right of that. And I'm just going to label it down here just for lack of space. So again, you need to be very, very picky where they go on your number line when it comes to the quiz. Negative numbers. Negative numbers work backwards on the number line. Out of all the things in this chapter, negative numbers graphing on the number line are probably one of the hardest things. So notice that our negative numbers go backwards. -2, -2.2, -2.6, -2.8, and -3. First thing that I'm going to do is change them into decimals. So top divided by bottom, 3 divided by 4. This is -2.75. -200%, move our decimal point 2 places to the left. That just becomes -2, or you could say -2.00. The negative square root of 7, again, you're going to type in negative second x squared and then your 7. When you do that, you get -2.64 approximately. -21 divided by 10, top divided by bottom to change the fraction into a decimal. When you do that, you get -2.10. And the negative cube root of 10. Negative button, 3, second button, caret button, 10, and hit equals. When you do that, you get -2.15 approximately. So now we're ready to graph it. -2.75. -2.7 would be right here in the middle of -2.6 and -2.8. So -2.75 is exactly halfway in between -270 and -280. It's exactly halfway in between. So it's going to go right there. -2, there's already a hash mark right there for -2. -2.64. -2.64 has to be in between -2.6 and -2.7. -2.65 would be halfway in between those. So it's right on that first little dash, right about there. -2.1 is exactly halfway in between -2 and -2.2 is -2.1. -2.15. Well, if this is -2.1 right here, -2.15 is halfway in between -210 and -220. So it is right there on that opening. That is where -2.15 is. So you do need to be careful, especially with your negatives, because the negatives go backwards. Go ahead and try this last one on your own, please. Go ahead and try this last one on your own. Change them into decimals first. Four and 1/4. The big number goes in front of your decimal point. Top divided by bottom, 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. Whatever's after the decimal point goes after the decimal point. 481%, you can type it into the calculator or just move the decimal point over 2 places to the left, so that becomes 4.81. The square root of 18 is approximately 4.24. And the cube root of 92 is approximately 4.51. So when we go to graphic, our number line is counting by twos. $4.25. $4.25 is in between 420 and 440. 4.3 or $4.30 would be right in the middle. So 425 has to be exactly halfway in between 420 and 430. So 4 1/4 would go right there. 4.81. 4.81 would be just right after 4.8, because that would be $4.80. $4.81 would be next. So it would be just after that 4.8. 4.24. Well, we said that this was 4.25. 4.24 would be just to the left of that number. So that's where the square root of 18 goes. $4.51. $4.50 would be exactly halfway in between 440 and 450. So 451 is just to the left of, or sorry, just to the right of 450. So again, I think that it's a good strategy to make them look like money. All right, it's just a technique to make your life a little bit easier.